4, Town Manager's Report.
Thank you,
Take it
Mr.
away,
Chair.
Colin.
I'm happy to share that we opened bids on the MassWorks grant project that will see improvements to Kendall Road and the construction of a new roadway called Commerce Drive. Commerce Drive will provide access to the DPW yard, the park and ride, as well as the new warehouse project that is going on the Brock's property behind the park and ride. We opened the bids last week, and the lowest bidder was Newport Construction. Newport Construction has a very lengthy history of positive performance here in Tyngsborough. In fact, they're the bidder currently working on the States neighborhood. Their bid was $1.9 million, which will fall perfectly within the $2 million MassWorks grant. They did include a $45,000 alternate. So the way this project works, we're funding the first $2 million through the MassWorks grant, and we'll enter into a funding agreement with the private developer. Any cost beyond that $2 million will be borne by the private developer. So we finished the review of the bids today. We should issue a contract this week, and we can expect to see some mobilization on the site. Obviously, the heavy work will start in the next paving season, but you'll start to see some work happening over there very, very soon. I just want to give a shout out to our new town clerk, Jessica Brunel, on her first election last week. Tyngsborough saw 15% voter turnout, which is a substantial increase from the 4% turnout we had in the May election for our town election and 11% for the presidential primary in March. I also want to thank the poll workers who spent their day making sure people's voices were heard, and our town clerk emeritus, Joanne Schiffers, who spent many hours in the weeks leading up to the election making sure that Jessica was ready. Just an interesting fact, of the 1,500 votes that were cast last Tuesday, 930 of those were done by mail ahead of time, and 30 were done in person as a part of early voting. So just wanted to highlight the amount of work that municipal clerks have to put in to achieve the mail-in voting, but also note that it's obviously worth it because a lot of people are taking advantage of that option. Some project updates. The work in the town center on the new pedestrian bridge, boardwalk, and observation deck is now complete. They were on site today making some very minor adjustments to the retaining wall, but it is done. There will be some additional final landscaping touches done this spring. Obviously, right now they just loamed and seed, so it looks kind of bare, but I assure you in the spring it will look a lot better. The electrical work for the new town center digital sign was completed last week. The sign shipped midweek last week, and I expect that it's going to arrive and be ready for installation at some point, either at the end of next week or the week following that. When it's complete, it will replace that orange highway sign that had been there for 3 years and will allow us to better communicate with residents. That project was funded by CPC funding at the May 2024 annual town meeting. Phase 2 of the 2024 roadway improvements project is underway. Work to date included head wall repairs and drainage improvements. The town's contractor will commence pavement operations in the next 2 weeks with the goal of completing all of the work before November 15th. Last week, the engineering division approved a road opening permit for the work being done by the Dracut Water Supply District in the Malvern Road area. This is the project that many residents are interested in that will see the replacement of a severely undersized water main with a more appropriately sized main. Work on the Sherburne Ave rec parcel is moving quite along. If you've driven by recently, you can kind of start to see where the different amenities will be. And I expect that the Recreation Committee will have a request, we'll talk about it a little bit later, to the CPC Committee at their meeting next week to advance kind of phase 2 of that project. The Bicentennial Field Irrigation project is also moving along nicely. To date, the contractor has completed the first 4 phases of the project, which included the electrical work in the building, trenching to the wood line, and a cleanup of the disturbed area. The next phase is phase 5, which will deal with the trenching into the woods to where the new pump will sit, as well as the installation of the pump pad. This work will commence the week of September 23rd and should last about a week. After that, the only large remaining item is going to be the pump installation, which will occur once the new pump arrives. We will likely be able to test run the system before we have to winterize it. But we are very fortunate. A lot of the things that we were worried about, kind of where the uncertainties may have lied, never came to fruition, so I feel good about that project being complete soon. I don't have a formal update on the police department parking lot. We are working through some challenges with the contractor. We had a productive meeting with the contractor today. We have been weighing the town's options, and I think that we've landed on a place that will maintain the project budget, get the project complete, and deliver a product that will work for the police department. So we're almost there. The police have been very patient, but we're getting there. And then just a couple of dates to keep in mind. The Tyngsborough Fire Department will host the annual 9/11 Remembrance event on Wednesday morning at the First Responder Memorial, which is at the Tyngsborough Funeral Home. It'll start at about 9:45 a.m., but folks are asked to arrive at 9:30. The Board of Health is hosting its first Light the Night Vigil on Saturday at 6:30 p.m. at the Old Town Hall. The vigil will honor and remember those who lost their lives to substance use. They've already established a memory garden on the lawn of the Old Town Hall where residents can write the name of a memory of a loved one lost to substance use and place it with the others. Residents may choose to do that ahead of the vigil or on Sunday, and we're thrilled that District Attorney Marion Ryan will be there on Saturday to participate. On September 21st, from 11 to 2, the Board of Health, the Police and Fire Departments, and the Department of Public Works will host our annual Health and Safety Fair at the elementary school. There are all kinds of activities for people of all ages, as well as a lot of informational booths from town departments and vendors as well. The Friends of the Tyngsborough Public Library will host their annual book sale on Saturday, October 5th from 8:30 a.m. to, I never finished that thought, I believe it's 2 p.m. here in the community room. And while the state primary is over, the town clerk's office has already shifted to the November 5th general election. The deadline to register to vote is October 26th, and the deadline to return your vote by mail application is the 29th. Residents will be able to vote early, actually the weeks of October 19th and the 28th. It's 2 weeks for the general election. A full schedule and more information will be available at tyngsboroughma.gov in the coming weeks. And that is all I have. And now I will, for the first time in ages, ask Kat to give her report.
Take it away.
All right. Well, as Colin says, I am thrilled to be back
Thank you.
after my 3-month maternity leave. I want to thank everyone, especially Colin and Jackie, who covered me while I was on my leave. I was really very thankful to have that time with baby Charlotte. So now she's with my husband for 2 months. Next Wednesday, September 11th, we'll be releasing an invitation for bids for the Scribner Road culvert replacement, and bids are due September 25th. And that's all I have.
Thank you. I will open it up to the board for questions or comments. Mr. Schneider.
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Select Person Gilfus.
Mr. Town Manager, I'm glad to hear that the voter turnout was mostly because of the mail-in votes, because when we talked afterwards, I felt like the turnout was so low because I was there late in the day, but it was because people had already voted. So I'm so glad to see that. I'm glad that residents took advantage. And you did mention just the load that has. Did you get any indication from the town clerk, like if she had the sufficient resources to manage that? Like, how did she feel doing that?
Yes. One of the things that I will say to the state is while they often pass down lots of unfunded mandates, there are levels of reimbursement that we're able to seek. So for this one, we managed it entirely with our in-house staff, and we had already agreed to have our former town clerk help because it was the first election. Some of those costs we'll be able to reimburse from the state. If we are anticipating, and we can kind of play it as we go, for the November 5th general election, obviously we'll have more. We would be able to leverage some of our poll workers or registrars, and those costs could be reimbursed to the state. But for this one, we were able to leverage our own in-house staff, and I will just say, you know, while often the state doesn't do it, in this case they do the right thing, and you can get reimbursed for some of those where necessary.
Are we going to have a ribbon cutting for the pedestrian bridge?
We will certainly plan something in the spring.
I want you to celebrate. It's been a
Yes,
big
yes.
project. And then my last comment is the annual book sale for the Friends. They are accepting books starting this week, so drop them off at the library. When you said that you think it's 2 p.m., I'm embarrassed to say that the signs have been in my kitchen for the last 2 weeks, and I don't know if it's 2 or 2:30. But yes, my wife is the president of the Friends, so drop off your books. That's it.
Okay. Mr. Cohen.
The new pedestrian bridge, are people able to walk on it at this time?
Yes.
They are.
We
Okay.
will, there's still some cones up, but the site will be completely cleared at some point this week, and yes, folks are. I'd ask that you stay off the area that was freshly loamed, but yes, that walkway is good. It's accessible, it meets all of the applicable regulations.
Okay, and the light and night vigil you have is Saturday at 6:30 PM? I
Correct.
take it that's this Saturday?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna ask about the pedestrian bridge. So, to be clear, people can walk on the paths and the bridge, don't walk on the areas that have been seeded.
Correct.
We don't wanna have something where we're gonna go and reseed it again in the spring. And everything is safe and good to go.
Yes, absolutely.
That was the only question I had. Thank you for, again, another very complete
know.
and detailed town manager's report. For all you folks that are on your podcasts, I suggest you look at it and you sign up for that one and you listen to it on your ride in to work or wherever you happen to be going.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Could I ask make one
Oh,
comment?
now you can, yeah, sure.
Well, because,
Go ahead.
so I worked on the polls on last Tuesday. Precincts 1 and 2 are done at the elementary school, I'm sorry, at the middle school, and the traffic flow is not ideal there.
Yep.
And I think there's a challenge ahead of us come November. There'll probably be much higher turnout than there would have been at this primary. We need to find a better way to have people coming in and out, because right now there's a single-sized door where people are going in and out. And we should work with the town clerk's office, with the school, and figure out a way that we could route traffic so that there's a single way of going in, a single way of going out, because otherwise it congregates at that one door, and it happens to be right where the voting machine is located.
Yeah.
So it's not an ideal place, but we do have to work on that.
Yeah, I did speak with Town Clerk Jessica Brunel today, and we're gonna plan to do a site walk over there in the next week or so.
Yeah.
There are some options, whether it's utilizing the existing middle school or even looking at using the high school. It's the same physical location,
Yeah.
and my understanding the school is closed on that day anyway. But yes, I mean, certainly we are facing unique challenges given the construction over there, so we will, and whatever our new plan that we develop is, will be properly communicated. There'll be adequate signage on the day of, and
Thank you.
duly noted.
Okay.